They want election, they want change.
We call democratic, but we have never reached the real democratic practice.
수단도 이제는 변할 때가 되었구나.
And they will be very pleased by the result.
This is something which is more important than the rest. If people know very well what they are voting for,
the Nile River, with its swelling junction of the White and Blue Niles, flows through the heart of Khartoum. This is a focal point from which Khartoum begins its change. Contrary to expectation that Khartoum would be bustling with campaigns, the city's only acknowledgement of the upcoming elections was a handful of candidate posters.
Main point of problem here in Sudan about election, how to direct this different election and different parties. 12 persons elected for the president. This is a big problem.
There are a total of 12 candidates for this year's elections. And Omar al-Bashir, who has ruled Sudan for the past 17 years, is one of them. Of the 12, there is one that particularly catches the eye. Fatima Abd-Mahmoud, the first ever female presidential candidate in Sudan, says that her presence in the race holds great meaning for the Sudanese democracy.
I'm giving a message to the new generation, to the women, to the youth, that there is no obstacle in the country for women being empowered as presidents for the country. And I'm not afraid of being not a successful candidate, but I have already made a success by the challenge entering this election campaign for the presidency. So I will be opening the gate and way for women in the future to participate and compete in this position.
Mrs. Mahmoud has spent the last 30 years as a female leader in Sudanese politics and diplomacy. Her regard for Korea is special, as she personally visited the country in 1982 as a goodwill ambassador. She's running on a platform of open-door policies for the development of Sudan.
I got interested in my program to develop the relation with the United Nations, with its agencies all over the countries, with the European Union and the economic and social committees and arenas in Africa and the Arab countries, because I believe that through good international relations, we can automatically develop real developmental projects in the country, in any size, small or big ones.
On the 12th, the ballots arrived at Khartoum, the capital city. It was clear that the first direct elections to be held in 24 years was imminent.
These materials now we are seeing here in Khartoum, they will be flown sometime from now to the headquarters of to the capital of southern region, Juba, and from there they will be dispatched to the 10 states in the southern region.
Southern Sudan was also getting ready to hold independent elections to select its president and National Assembly. They hope for a complete separation from the north.
Sudanese inhabitants is 40 million, 16,584,000 voters. So the registration is 81%. This means people are interested in change. They want election, they want change. So now the difficult job is to get all these people to the polling stations to get them to vote.
With the elections around the corner, we decided to visit the election committee, which would presumably be at its busiest. As predicted, it was crowded with journalists. We arrived while the European Union's election observation mission was meeting in Khartoum with the National Elections Committee. The EU has sent 130 observers to Sudan to watch the elections for a month. The committee seems nervous that their long-awaited democratic elections are receiving such international attention.
There is some interest around the world, but we are not pressed by anyone. We get no pressure on us. We are busy with conducting fair and free elections.
Okay. Are you expecting some changes after election, or?
That's left for after the results.
After a long wait, we succeeded in getting an exclusive with the chief of the European Union Election Observation Mission.
Hi. Hi here, finally. Thank you very much.
And what is the biggest concern of you having in your mind for the Sudanese election next month?
My main concern is, first of all, the possibility of this election to take place, given the fact that they could be a little bit delayed for technical reasons, because all the parties want this election. This is very important. There is a consensus that this election must take place for their future. It's democracy building. We will have in total 130 observers plus the staff, so it's a huge mission. Not enough to cover all the country, but at least to have a good sample of what was going on during this election.
So after the government and then JEM group, they made a framework for the peace agreement for the Darfur. Do you think it affects somehow for the election?
I don't know. It's a political judgment. I wouldn't like to. I convince them, I think, that we are absolutely neutral in this mission, which is to say impartial, not making interference in the political life of Sudan, and not being for one party instead of another, etc. We know that Sudan is a very important country for many European state members, and that there are different games, hidden agenda there. It's in all the elections. We don't have a hidden agenda. I don't have a hidden agenda. I am independent.
What will make you happy when you finish this observation?
I'm always happy when I can say that these elections are a good election. But here we are in a special case. The election is not the end of the process. My expectation is this is the beginning of a process which could lead to a referendum, and for the referendum I have no expectation either. It would be 2 states or another solution, no need. But my expectation is to have the possibility to follow, that the people could follow all these steps and come to the referendum. And this is part of the peace agreement. It's part of the process which has been defined by the peace agreement, which is the initial step of all the story. And maybe to open another page for the story of Sudan. Why not? It could be great.
How did the Sudanese people feel about these elections, which has returned after 24 years? We interviewed people in the marketplace where public opinion could be felt most directly. Every store had a portrait of President al-Bashir. The people showed wide support for him.
حكون يعني أحسن دولة ونحن ماشيين يعني ما في مستقبلنا يعني ماشي كويس مع الرئيس إن شاء الله وربنا يعني يوفقه ويحفظه لنا ونحن منتصرين إن شاء الله منتصرين مع عمر البشير إن شاء الله مع الرئيس.
والله عايز يكون في سلام ونكون بعيدين من المشاكل ويخلونا عمر ده يكون قاعد موجود وما دارين الصراعات والخلافات دارين الامن والسلام بس وده الشعب يكون مستغير. الله اكبر.
There was one man who requested an interview. He spoke in English, aware of the eyes of the al-Bashir supporters around him.
We are suffering too much. So 21 years of ruling is quite enough. Because 21 years of ruling, of killing, is quite enough. This government destroyed this country.
After his statement, the men hurried away. Everyone has different opinions, but in an unevenly divided situation, freedom of speech is not guaranteed for the minority that does not support al-Bashir. Public opinion continues to stand divided in the face of promises of development and rejection of dictatorship.
And they will be very pleased by the result. I think that the result, whatever it is, will be accepted, and this will be as a victory for Sudan people and Sudan political system.
막 시끌벅걸하고 뭐 하면서 뭔가 막 변하는 모습이 보여야 변하는 게 아니고 여기서는 저면에 그 나일강이 흘러가지만은 그 도도하게 흘러가지만은 그 나일강의 소리는 안 나지 않습니까, 그죠?
For anyhow, this election is very important to transfer and to training the people in Sudan about how to do it democracy by election in Sudan.
The rearing junction of the White Nile and Blue Nile is quietly swallowed by the larger Nile River. The Nile continues to flow quietly and steadily as if nothing has occurred. Sudan is shaking amidst continued delays of the presidential election and transition to democracy. Surrounded by worried glances from the international community, Sudan continues to flow and ebb quietly and steadily.